Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking about functions, and functions are going to be special kinds of relations. So we've talked about relations, and we talked about how relations are ordered pairs. So relations are ordered pairs. So an x and a y, similar to when we were graphing. So functions are special types of relations. So they're a type of relation where you have one x value. For each x value, there's a different y. So the big thing is you can't have any repeating x values. If I could spell repeating correctly. So we can say that a relation or a set of ordered pairs, however the relation is set up, is a function as long as you do not have any repeated x values. For instance, here we've got 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 1. If you'll see, I've got repeating sixes, so this would not be a function. In the next one, I have 3, 4, 5, 1, and 2, negative 1. I've got 3, 5, and 2. That would be a function because I do not have any repeating x values, and that's the key in a function. It has to have not any repeating x values. So given a relation x and y, we say that y is a function of x if each element of x in the domain there's exactly one corresponding y. Now you can have repeating y's. Repeating y's is okay, but repeating x's is not okay. So again, here's a different way to show relations, and I've used the circles, and I've got the a, b, and c, and the 7 and 2. Notice that coming out from A, B, and C, I only have one arrow from A, one from B, one from C. Now, A and B are both pointing to 7, and that's okay. But A, B, and C each only have one arrow coming out. So yes, that would be a function. Now look at the difference in the one next to it. I've got only the number 3, and it's got 3 arrows coming out of it, going to 3 different numbers. That means that this x value 3 is repeating. So that would be no, that is not a function. So on functions or not, that's a yes or no question. So what do you think about this one? I've got 5, 10, and 2 all pointing to the number 3. Do you think that's okay? Are any of my x's repeated? No, they are not. So yes, this is a function. Okay, let's do a couple more. There's one on the left that shows a function because even though the negative 2 and 2 are both pointed to 1, I still have just one arrow coming out. But in this one on the right, 2 has got 2 arrows coming out, so this one is not a function. Okay, another way to tell functions, we're going to learn about a vertical line test. So here we've got 3, 4, 3, 1, or 3, negative 1, negative 2, 4, 1, 3. I've got repeating 3s, so no, that's not a function. Let's look and see what that looks like. 3 and up 4 would be up here. 3 and negative 1 would be here. Negative 2 and 4 would be over here. And 1, 3 would be here. Now what the vertical line test says is that if I can draw a vertical line anywhere on the graph and I can only touch the graph in one spot, then I can say it's a function. If you touch the graph in more than one spot with your vertical line, then it is not a function. So in this case, if I were to draw a vertical line right here where those 3's are, that would mean I'm touching that graph in 2 spots, not a function. And notice when I just had the ordered pairs listed, we said not a function. So now suppose I just give you the picture, and I'm going to keep using red so I can draw some vertical lines. If you look at the next picture, that's a parabola. I'm just going to draw some examples of vertical lines. Take a ruler, and set a ruler or a straight edge, fold a piece of paper in half and just do your vertical line through the picture. If you can only touch it in one spot each time, yes, that is a function. But then if I come over here to the vertical line in this next one, notice I'm hitting in 2 spots each time. So no, that's not a function. The vertical line test is probably one of the easiest things that you'll do because it's either a yes or no, and you can a lot of times tell by looking at it. Here, if I hit a vertical line there, I'm hitting twice, so it is not a function. In this next one, when I draw a vertical line, oops, I somehow picked up yellow, but that's okay. You can see I'm only hitting it in one place, so yes, that is a function. Another way to write functions is something called function notation. So function notation looks something like this, f of -2. Now notice, function notation, when we graphed, we used xy notation because we always solved things for y and we would graph, so y equals 2x. With function notation, I can change that up a little bit and I can say that f of x equals 2x. And what all this means, it's just a way to write this equation or this expression. All that means is that if I'm going to do f of x equals 2x and I want to make, let's say I want to make a table, that just means that I'm taking any number that's in the f of whatever this is and I'm going to plug it in for x and work it out. Okay? So here's an example. I've got f of x equals 2x. I want to find f of -2. That means that I want to take -2 and I want to plug it in for the x in my function. So that would be 2 times -2, which would be -4. So if I were to graph that, I put in a -2, so the x value, let's just do that visually. The x value was -2. The output, what I got out, was a -4. So -2, -4. There's how that would graph. If I did f of -1, that means I'm going to put a -1 for my x. So 2 times -1 is -2. I put in a -1, I got out a -2. So -1, -2, like that. And so on. F of 0 would be 2 times 0. So that would be 0. I put in a 0, I got out a 0. F of 1 would be 2 times 1, so that equals 2. I put in a 2, I got out a 2. I'm sorry, I put in a 1, didn't I? 1, and I got out a 2. So see, those are lining up just like when we were graphing. Same kind of thing. Now I can have a lot of different functions. I could have functions that look like this at the bottom of the page. So not only could I put in numbers, I could also put in letters. Now you're not going to have this very often. I'm going to do, let's do this and let's just change that up and let's do g of 3 instead, because we're really not going to put in other variables into this course. We're doing numbers. So that means I want to find g of 3 for this g of x function. That means I'm going to put a 3 in there for the x. So that's going to be 3 squared plus 4, and let's just work that out. 9 plus 4 would be 13. So that means g of 3 equals 13. I put in a 3, I got out a 13. So let's do one where we have a denominator, a fraction. So let's do h of -1. Well, I don't have anything to replace on top, and then I've got 5 plus -1 on the bottom, so that would be 1 over 5 plus -1 would be 4. So h of -1 equals 1/4, just like that. Not so bad. You're just having to plug in numbers. You've done that in the past, and it's not real difficult. Just be careful, especially when you're doing the ones with fractions. Okay, here's one. Consider the function g of x equals -4x plus 1. So we could use f, we could use g, we could use h. You know, we've used all those letters so far. They all mean function notation. It's that parentheses that comes after it, and it's always read as g of -3 equals. So I'm going to put in -3 for my x because the parentheses is always what am I putting in for my x. So -4 times -3 plus 1. that would be 12 plus 1, which would be 13. So g of negative 3 equals 13. And I'm not going to worry about the k plus 2. That's for later on in another course. All right. I want to click down here, and I'm going to give a blank page because I want to give you some that I found. Suppose we had f of x equals 5x plus 5 over 4x plus 8. And I ask you to find f of negative 3. So let's put in a negative 3. So you're going to put in negative 3 wherever there's an x. So in this one, I have two places to put that negative 3 in. I'm going to put it in the numerator, and I'm going to put it in the denominator, and then I work each one out. 5 times negative 3 would be negative 15 plus 5 on top. 4 times negative 3 would be negative 12 plus 8. So I end up with negative 10 on top. And my pen does not want to work. Let's hang on a second. Let me see if I can get it back working. Sorry about that. I had to stop it for a minute and get my pen working again. So negative 15 plus 10, plus 5 would be negative 10. I'm kind of flustered right now. Negative 12 plus 8 would give me negative 4. And so we're going to reduce that. The two negatives would cancel, and then it would divide by 2's. So I would end up with 5 over 2. So that means that f of negative 3 equals 5 over 2. All right, let's go to the next page, and let's talk about domains. What domains mean for these functions? Domains are also finding restricted values. If you'll think back, when we did the chapter on rational expressions, we talked about restricted values. And remember, restricted values are values in the denominator of a fraction that would make that denominator equal to 0. Because remember, we don't want denominators equal to 0. Okay, that's a no-no. So what you'll do to find the domains, or you're going to find the restricted values. It's the same thing. So you take your denominator, set it equal to 0, and then solve for x, or whatever variable it is. So in this case, 2x equals 5. Divide everything by 2, so x equals 5 over 2. So my restricted value, and Alex, I believe, will ask you what your restricted value is. Your restricted value is x is, I'm not going to work that one, x is equal to x is equal to 5 over 2. That means that if I'm writing this as a domain, that's x's such that x is not equal to 5 over 2. You could list it like that, or you could just say x's cannot equal 5 over 2. That's my domain. Now, you only have to worry about restricted values if you have a fraction. So let's do this next one. Remember, numerators don't matter on these, by the way. Just denominators, because that's the only place we have to worry about a 0. So here we've got x squared plus 4 equals 0. Now, can we factor x squared plus 4? If that were the difference of two squares, we could factor it. But since it's the sum of two squares, it's not factorable. So that means that I do not have any restrictions, and you could use all real numbers for the domain. The same thing holds true for x squared plus 5x in this next one. There are no fractions. I don't have any restricted values. So no restricted values, if that's the question you're asked. If you're asked for domain, the domain would be all real numbers. I could use any number I wanted to. And there we go. So let's look at this one at the bottom. Find the domain. So you may be asked to find the restricted value. Take your domain, set it equal to 0, solve for x. So 2x equals 10 divide by 2. So in this case, 5 is my restricted value. If I want to write the domain, I'm going to say x's such that x is not equal to 5. That's how the domain is written. Now I want to do one more. I'm going to extend this page, and I want to do one more that looks like this. Suppose we have h of x equals x plus 3 over x squared minus x minus 2. And I'm wondering if you remember from doing rational expressions how we found the restricted values on it. We had to factor that denominator. So x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. Factors that multiply to get me negative 2, but that add to get me negative 1 would be negative 2, positive 1. So x minus 2, x plus 1 equals 0. So solve each one of these for x. We'll come over here and do it. So x equals 2 for that first one. And I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides and negative 1. So in this one, I've got two restricted values, a 2 and a negative 1. So I could write my, if I want to write it as domain, x is such that x is not equal to 2 and negative 1. You could just list them like that, and that would be fine. So that's a different way to find restricted values. That's how you use functions. Remember, you can't have repeating x's. That's the big thing with functions. Y'all have a wonderful day.